Welcome everyone. Hope everyone is doing very well. Hope everyone had a beautiful, beautiful Yontif. And I wanted to share a thought on Parsha Shmini. So the Torah opens up this week's Parsha and it tells us Vayihi Bayom Hashmini Kara Moshe Aaron Levanav Lizgnei Yisrael. So Shmini what? Shmini of what? The eighth day of what? So Rashi explains Shmini La Miluim. This was the eighth day of the Miluim. And it was the day of the Hakamas HaMishkan. So it was a day of celebration, of celebrating the building of the Mishkan, the climax of all of the preparations that were done. So this was the consecration and establishment and the Chanukas HaMishkan. So I wanted to spend a moment. I'm recording this a week before Pesach, 2.5 weeks at least before you're hearing it. I don't know where we're at when you're hearing it. I'm certainly recording it when we're all suffering and experiencing and the challenge of being quarantined, locked up in our homes, the coronavirus situation. But I wanted to share this tie-in of the Hakamas HaMishkan to an amazing Gemara in Maseches Pesachim Daf Peiches Amud Aleph. The Gemara there is darshaning a pasuk in Yeshayahu Hanavi, where the Beis Hamikdash is described, not the Mishkan, but the Beis Hamikdash, and it's referred to, the pasuk in Yeshayahu is referring to the Beis Hamikdash as the Beis Elokei Yaakov, is the house of Yaakov, Yaakov's house. And the Gemara is bothered. Why is it referred to as Beis Elokei Yaakov? Why not the Beis Elokei Avram? Why not the Beis Elokei Yitzchak? And in fact, it's a little difficult. How come Yaakov gets that appellation and not Avram and Yitzchak? So the Gemara says, Lo ba'Avram. It doesn't mention the Beis HaMikdash as the Beis Elokei Avram because Avram called that place, called the Makam HaMikdash, he called it a har. Shekasib ba'har shne'emar asher yomar hayom behar Hashem yera'eh. So Har Abayis he referred to as a har, as a mountain, and we don't want to link it to Avram. Evelobi Yitzchak, and also not to Yitzchak shekasabo sadeh, because Yitzchak called that place the Har Abayis, the Makom HaMikdash, he called it a sadeh. Shneimar vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh ela b'Yaakov shekaro bayis. But Yaakov referred to the Makom HaMikdash as a bayis. Shneimar vayikra eshem hamakom hahu Beit El. So he called it a bayis, and therefore when the Navi describes the Makam HaMikdash, it refers to it as Beis Elokei Yaakov, because somehow bayis is the more appropriate appellation. What's the pshat in this Gemara? So I would suggest perhaps the following idea. We didn't call it Beis Elokei Avram because Avram referred to that place as a har. When we think about a mountain, we think about something very awe-inspiring, very tall, very strong, very hard. To scale a mountain perhaps is only the most ablest of people can scale, get to the zenith of the mountain. So no, we're not going to call it Beis Elokei Avram because Avram made this kind of very, very high demand of climbing this tall, imposing mountain. Yitzchak is called it a sadeh. When we think sadeh, a field, a place of hard work, of toil, of waking up early in the morning and doing all of the back-breaking labor that's necessary to produce food from a sadeh, no, we're not going to call it a sadeh, we're not going to call it Beis Elokei Yitzchak. Rather, we call it Beis Elokei Yaakov because he referred to it as a bayis. What is a bayis? So bayis could be translated in one of two ways. Bayis could be translated as a house, or it could be translated as a home. And I believe the correct interpretation here is a home. And what the Beis HaMikdash is supposed to be, what the Mishkan is supposed to be, is a bayis. A bayis is the place where after a long, hard day's work, a person goes home to, feels his most comfortable. The place where you feel you can be your most authentic self, your most real, that's your bayis, that's your home. That's where you can kind of let it all hang out, if you will. Be real, be yourself, to your spouse, to your kids. They know exactly who you are, what you are, because that's when you're most real. That's what Mishkan represents, where we go back to, where we can feel most ourselves, most at home, most comfortable. That's the message that Yeshayahu Hanavi wanted to transmit to us. It's Beis Elokei Yaakov. This is your home base. This is where you belong. This is where you always come back to. When life is stressful, when you're having difficulties, when there's concerns, very scary concerns, we always come back to our bias. We always feel this is our home. This is where we can be. I think that's a very important message. And again, I don't know where we're holding now, 2.5 weeks later, but I can guess and I can surmise, and perhaps our bias has become our shul. Our bias has become our base medrash. Our bias has become our workplace. Our bias has become the place where we exercise. Our bias has become everything. And that bias has tremendous potential to become a real Makam HaMikdash, and it can be converted into a full-blown Mikdash Ma'at. And I think that's one of our challenges, is to take our bias and make it into our shul, and make it an inspiring shul, make it into a base medrash, and make it a meaningful, pounding base medrash, make it into a workplace where we get the things that we need to get done, make it into our gym, make it into the place where we can be real, be ourselves, be our most spiritual. That's our mission, that's our challenge. It's a unique challenge, and it's one that we can succeed in if we take the lessons of Yeshayahu Hanavi and understand what bias is all about. Vasuli Mikdash v'shachanti b'socham. It could be in Yerushalayim, but can also be on our doorstep, in our homes. I want to wish everyone a beautiful, meaningful, and healthy Shabbos Kodesh.